Good evening and welcome. This is Mindful Mountain's 9th week of introduction course. I'm happy you're here. We'll have a new technique this week, which is the last of the new techniques. We've done them all. And so our last 3 weeks will be practicing all of them, but probably not all of them at a time. There's a bunch. We'll start with last week's card discussion. Week 8 was, I will try to ask questions rather than make statements. And that's that may be my most favorite card to work with. It forces mindfulness. It forces you to pause before you speak and to reframe your statement into a question. It is not always applicable. I was noticing as I told my children, I love you. I love you. That's a statement that needs to be a statement. But reframing statements into questions is helpful to maintain mindfulness in that it makes you realize that maybe you don't know, and maybe there is something to learn, and there's always room for curiosity and a larger awareness. So I really like this card, and it's the one that I seem to bring most to mind throughout the day. That it all right, week 9. Our new technique is called the Pineal Gland Exercise. So we will learn it and practice it, and then do our basic running the energy and listening in. The Pineal Gland Exercise looks a lot like listening in. Our attention will be focused on the pineal gland. And you can find information about the pineal gland on the internet. But for this purpose, just imagine a small pine cone shaped gland in the center of the brain. So at about the level of the tops of your ears, think about it just going directly into the brain, into the center of the brain. So physically, it looks like listening in, because our elbows are going to be up and out to the sides. We're going to be closing off our ears like listening in, our eyes like listening in, and this one also closes the nose. And so we're really, really shutting off all of our external senses. And we begin with our chin down on the chest. We inhale with puckered lips, making a forceful sucking sound, like as we arc our head back and up, all the way back, and then we hold our breath on that top of the inhale. And when we've run out of breath, we exhale with a forceful whistling of air back out as our head comes back to center. And then we finish by rubbing our eyes and cheeks real briskly, and then bring your hands down. So that's one repetition. We do it 3 times as we do them all. And I will demonstrate this when I go back to screen. So this exercise comes from Dr. Thind, who was, again, Audley's guru. And he has a little booklet with a DVD, actually, and it's footage of Dr. Thind lecturing to his students and going through these breathing exercises. I think there are 19 or more that he shared with students, and this is one of those. And the booklet, he writes, hold your breath until part of the breath comes from within your eyebrows and causes you to see colors. Yellow light is cleansing, followed by blue light, soothing, golden yellow amber, magnetizing. Two lights are bad, black, meaning nobody's home, and red, when the mind is inflamed. Inflamed, think angry. Before you open your eyes, rub them thoroughly from every possible angle, then rub both cheeks up and down along the sides of your nose. In performing this exercise, you will immediately feel a strong coolness, refreshing and invigorating, pervading your brain. Do it 3 times, and your head will stay heavenly. Isn't that nice? Your head will stay heavenly. And I hadn't really considered it until I read that, but this exercise does bring like a revitalizing, refreshing sensation to the brain, to the head. It's nice to do like upon awakening, because you really feel awake and alert. I don't know if it's just the increased oxygen consumption, or the sort of neck stretching and moving, getting the blood flowing up there, but it really is invigorating. So talking about the colors there is also similar to the colors you may see with listening in. It's sort of information about where your energy and attention is most prominent in your body. Here's our 9th week card to write down. When my mind is filled with the kind of thoughts that I wouldn't want anyone else to know that I'm thinking, I will make startling statements to break up the unwanted pattern, such as a mental scream or some other abrupt statement that serves to pull the mind away and shatter the pattern. This is that idea about, if you wouldn't want your thoughts stamped on your forehead, perhaps they're not a thought you would want to be thinking. But these thoughts happen. They all happen. There's nothing under the sun that hasn't been thought. And when they happen, there are lots of little mental tricks to halt that pattern. A mental scream works, or imagining the delete button on your computer, or Xing through old school typewriter, like when you erase a word, you would go back and just X over it. That works as a mental image. A bomb exploding, like anything to visually, in your mind's eye, picturing that thought, and then picturing that thought being disintegrated, exploded, vanished, some way gone, on deliberately, takes attention away from it so that it weakens and is less likely to return. When my mind is filled with the kind of thoughts that I wouldn't want anyone else to know I'm thinking, I'll make startling statements to break up the unwanted pattern. Alrighty, week 9 card. So we will get to practicing pineal gland exercise. Audley would say, and what I learned from my teacher Jerry, is this pineal gland exercise is really designed to begin to awaken and stimulate the pineal gland. So in the center of the brain, like here, like it's right in the middle. Small and pine cone shaped, and it lays forward. And this action of the head, we're going to go from chin down to chin up. This action of the head is going to stimulate the pineal gland to stand up. Physically, it will change in the brain, supposedly. That the pineal gland will stand up, and when it does so, it is then in perfect alignment with the spinal column and the top of the head. The pineal gland is known as the all-seeing eye, E-Y-E, eye. And when it is in alignment with the spinal cord and the top of the head, it acts as a tuning fork or a receiver, that your physical form is now in better alignment with life force coming in. When that energy builds at the top of the head, that is where it enters the body. And that's why we're building it up right here where it comes in, and then bringing it into the body. So awakening the pineal gland puts you more in alignment with the life force. And that's why it's known as the all-seeing eye. It is not the third eye. The third eye is it's not physically in our form. It is in second physical, energetic body, like the aura and the chakras. It is an energetic eye that is in the forehead, and it looks out and it receives information from the world around us. The world around us provides very little information that is new or of much benefit. So this pineal gland exercise will also serve to pull our energy out of the area of the third eye back into the all-seeing eye, where it can receive information from divine self, the higher knowledge, which is new and of use and for your benefit. So this is a very powerful technique, pineal gland exercise, and also prepares you for the next semester, the class that follows the introduction class, which is called ACOM, which I talked about in the very first class, sort of how this is laid out in semesters like a school, beginning techniques and then ACOM. The ACOM technique really is all about the awakening the pineal gland. So this is preparation for ACOM, in preparation for the pineal gland becoming in alignment and awakened or enlightened. So I will demonstrate one, and then we will practice together 3 times. So what I mean by it looking like listening in is this. I'm closing off ears, I'm closing off eyes, I'm also closing off nose. Chin down, inhale back, So breath gives power. So you should definitely be powerfully giving some power to your breath with that. And when your head is back, you're just holding your breath. There's no set time period. The longer the better, and the more you do it, the longer you will be able to. And then that eye rubbing, I was surprised actually in Dr. Thin's video how, like, wow, that looks like it hurts. He's very vigorously rubbing his eyes in all directions and then along the nose like this. To what purpose, I cannot with confidence say, except that it feels like it is an addition to the stimulation of oxygen and blood flow that we're creating with the neck movement and the intense breathing. So we're bringing more blood flow, more oxygen, more stimulation, more pulling of our energy from our lower animal selves into our upper, more loving and emotionally intelligent and intuitive selves. Listening in is about drawing our energy up. Pineal gland exercise, stimulating the all-seeing eye. So a lot of this work is about pulling the energy in our bodies up. Okay, let's practice. So first one, get in position. It's ears and eyes and nose, chin down on the chest. Again, a forceful inhale back. Whistling exhale back down. Eye rub, nose rub. When your head is back, just make just notice whether you see any colors. Let's do it again. From the chin, on the chest, forceful sucking breath back. Whistle back down, rub, rub, rub. And the third time. Eye rub, nose rub. And yes, I notice like the roof of my mouth feeling up toward my cheeks. Feels cool from the air. Feel like I'm sitting a little bit taller, like my head wants to float a little bit. And then as I was rubbing the eyes and nose, I felt like I wanted to do more. So there is an aspect of intensifying the stimulation of our sensory awareness upwards. Pineal gland exercise. We've done them all. We learned aura clearing, pineal gland exercise. We learned about mantra and mala. We have practiced running the energy and listening in, and Joseph's coat. There's a lot to this show. All right, let's meditate. Thumb and forefinger together, palm down, knees or thighs. Let your eyes gently close. And with a couple deep breaths, Begin to turn your attention inside and settle in to being quiet, finding some stillness. When we meditate, our attention is always at the top of the head. This is where the silver cord, the life force, enters our body, our physical form. Imagine, ask for, visualize some nice bright golden energy building up here. And we mentally move the energy into willpower. This is inside the forehead. This is increasing our capacity to direct this energy. Let it flow down over the face and neck. Feel it seeping down through the muscles into the bones within the body, as well as over the skin. Across the shoulders and down the arms. Into our hands, or we just leave it for later. Our attention back to the top of the head. Golden light, please. Move the energy into willpower. And this time, send it back through the brain. I always imagine like an ocean wave crashing over, washing through. At the back of the brain, send it on down the spine. Just pushing through any blockages or dark spots. Make sure you feel it all the way down to the coccyx. And continuing through the hips and down each leg. Collect that energy from the hands. Moving down the legs, out the feet. To watch away and let go. And we go back to the top of the head. Golden light. Moving into the forehead, willpower. And down the face and neck. Shoulders and arms. Built a habit, the energy knows what to do. It stays in the hands. Attention goes back to the top of the head. Again, into willpower. And back through the brain. Not just the brain, feel the whole skull. And now send it down the spine. Every vertebrae, hitting every nerve. All the way to the tip of the coccyx, tailbone. Through the hips. And down the legs. Collecting what we left in our hands. Imagine just a palm, push it out. And send it all down and out. Bottom of the feet. Returns to earth. Thank you, goodbye. Top of the head. Golden light is loving and healing. Move it down into willpower. Let it wash over the face and neck. Pulling those squinted eyes and taut jaw away. Over the shoulders, letting them drop away from your ears. And down the arms, soothing those joints. And it sits in the hands, tingling your palms. Back to the top of the head. Once more into willpower. Inside the forehead. Washing over the brain now. Where it serves to both soothe and stimulate the brain. And then as we move down the spine, all those nerve endings, trust that the energy knows where it needs to go for healing and love throughout the body. The nervous system is the highway, and it's housed in the spine. Moving through the hips and legs. And with the energy from the hands, feel cleansed from the inside out as it washes out the feet and away. Attention back to the top of the head. And let us practice listening in. Raise your arms. About 5 breaths. Bringing your arms down. Hold that focus. Noticing sounds, noticing colors, listening behind that. A second time. Relax the arms. And we practice one more time, listening in. You can bring your arms down. Do a few minutes of simple meditation at the top of the head. Mantra with breath. I am the light. Notice the stillness and the space between breaths. the light. Back to center. Back to breath. Now, in your own way, mentally express gratitude for making connection with self. I do this by just mentally bowing to my own image, saying thank you. We gently bring attention from the top of the head down between the eyes. Where we're tied to personality, regrounded in our physical form. Slowly stretch. Return awareness to the room. Three more weeks, friends. It's been a pleasure.
It's such a lovely way to end the workday.
Yes, indeed. Very good. Okay. Well, good night, all.
Good night. Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
Thank you.